Are you looking for better shooting experience? How about a facility where you can shoot all of your firearms in the same day, where you can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, and practice your rifle work out to 600 yards? Shoot a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. You can do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, president of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you love the outdoors, you'll want to know all about Northern Illinois' largest outdoor shooting facility, the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you're a novice looking for a basic course, an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, or perhaps you want to participate in your favorite shooting event, or just spend an enjoyable day with a family, the Aurora Sportsman's Club is the only shooting facility in the region that offers all that and more. Interested? Then you won't want to miss the next orientation and tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Call, email, or visit our website today to find out how you can become part of a better shooting experience at the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois.
He is the human Molotov cocktail that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them.
So we're going to create a new government that serves you, your family, and your country.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues, here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David's rant of the week is The Other Stats to Gun Control, with David and Gretchen talking about fake gun facts. Then, Trump's claims of a shadow government begin to come into the light. And finally, it turns out Melania was worried about the ghost of President Past. All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So give us a call at 815-205-1584. That's 815-205-1584. Or go to Facebook, like our page On Target Radio, and ask a question or make a comment there.
Today's Rant of the Week and more of David's work can be found at bearingarms.com. And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's David's Rant of the Week.
If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. You're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. Liberals love to quote facts, but the problem is they have a habit of making up facts to fit their agenda. A while back, the NRA coined the soundbite, "It takes a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun." Liberals went into propaganda frenzy in response. I've never seen so many phony facts permeate the media suggesting not only was that untrue, but that gun ownership actually caused more harm than good. Quite frankly, that's a crock. A law-abiding concealed carry holder stopped a knife-wielding man as he began stabbing people in Salt Lake City store. And the Appalachian School of Law mass murdered 2 law-abiding citizens, ran to their cars, got the firearms they weren't allowed to carry on campus, went back in, and stopped the killer. Imagine if they'd been wearing their guns on campus when the killer first started shooting. And in early Texas, it was lawfully armed citizens that stopped the shooter who had the cops pinned down. There are plenty of stories of lawfully armed individuals stopping a killer. The liberal retort? It would have done no good in Las Vegas. Well, perhaps so, given Paddock was on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. But the inability of a concealed firearm to stop every mass murder isn't a justification for not being allowed to conceal carry. Liberals love to talk about how concealed carry is responsible for increased crime. According to gun facts, between 1980 and 2009, gun homicides were 10% higher in states with restrictive CCW laws. The truth is, concealed carry holders rise to the occasion, with only about 0.02% of them committing a crime with a firearm. In Florida, the homicide rate fell from 36% above the national average to 4% below after the state passed a right-to-carry law. Texas murder rates fell 50% faster than the national average within 12 months of the passage of their concealed carry law. Rape rates fell 93% faster in the first year after enactment and 500% faster in the second. In a letter to the editor of Finger Lakes Times, Mike Cotillo refuted the implication of a prior letter citing private gun ownership was responsible for 30,000 firearm-related deaths. Cotillo dissected those 30,000 deaths. Quote, let's look at the breakdown. All these figures are available from U.S. government agencies, he wrote. 65% were suicides, 15% law enforcement in the line of duty, 17% criminal activity such as gangs, drugs, related, etc., and 3% were accidental discharge. Now, just look at those numbers. 65% were suicides. If somebody wants to commit suicide, they're going to commit suicide, one way or the other. The bulk of firearm-related deaths were self-imposed. 17% were gang or other criminal activities. Criminals will not be dissuaded by the lack of legally possessed firearms. And 15% were law enforcement shootings in the line of duty. Doing away with private ownership of firearms would not have changed any of those statistics. 3% were avoidable accidental deaths. 900 people died from accidental firearm discharge. 900 of over 350 million firearms were connected to an accidental death. Now, granted, any accidental death is too many, but that represents 0.000257%. The problem is the mainstream media will never report the truth about gun ownership. They're waging a daily war against private firearm ownership, and they have the deep pockets and news coverage to do it effectively, and particularly so when they can just make up facts and publish them as the truth. Each of us should take a cue from Mike Cotillo and take those editorials and letters to the editor to task. Keep up with the news. Write your own letters to the editor and hold their feet to the fire. Someone has to enforce the truth that they're entitled to have their own opinion, but not to have their own facts. And that, Gretchen, is my quickly written rant for the week.
I have read, and it may be true, I believe it was from a probably left-leaning source, but I have read that there's not a single documented instance of a rape being prevented with a firearm. But I'm like, according to those statistics, rapes do go down. So apparently we've got the guys scared enough that they just don't even try.
Well, and that see, here's the problem with those statistics. That's things that were reported.
Right.
But we know a whole lot of people are never going to report something like that. They don't want to get their name involved, So what we know is the error is always going to be on the side of more,
right,
not less.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of things that are not reported.
Yeah. I mean, we say it all the time, but an armed society is a polite society. If you're living in a place where a lot of people have concealed carry permits, you're probably going to be cautious.
It's a deterrent.
It is.
It absolutely is a deterrent. But yeah, I mean, there are to my knowledge, there are half a dozen states where on college campuses, students over 21 are allowed to carry. So it's only, potentially half of the students, and it's probably not even half of the half.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you're a young male at one of those schools, and it crosses your mind that there's even a 25% chance that this woman that you're about to, try something with, right? I mean, that's kind of the point, is you don't know what you don't know, and that it probably puts a question mark in the back of their mind if there's even a 25% chance that this woman's carrying a gun. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep my dick in my pants. You don't get it? No.
Oh,
that is not a curse word.
I have one.
That is not a curse word. You have a tote board?
No.
You do now.
I have something else.
That's not a bad word.
I have what you were. Well, yes and no. I mean, it depends how you use the word. You can say, don't dick around. That's kind of okay. But you say, show me your. No, it's just. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you're not backing me up on this. I'm noticing.
Well, it's.
He's on
trying to remain neutral.
He's on team curse word, so. So no, he's not going to.
Meanwhile, speaking of guns, moving rapidly on before this really slides downhill fast, Dick and I will be talking now about. So here's the thing: this guy who wrote the letter that was being responded to never talked about the 40,000 people roughly who die from drug overdoses, or 36,000 people, they quote, die from the flu every year, 34,000 die in traffic fatalities. None of that stuff is ever brought up. Guns, with the minuscule number, the number of law-abiding citizens who commit a crime with a gun is infinitesimally small. Literally infinitesimally small. And yet that's, blown way out of proportion. 200,000 people die every year from preventable medical accidents. So we should ban doctors, right?
Well, right. I mean, it's way more dangerous to go to the hospital than to have a gun in your house.
I always say I don't like to go to hospitals because sick people are there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it bothers me. Here comes Piff.
Oh, nothing. I was going to say Facebook is blowing up from Gretchen's comment. So.
Sure, Gretchen talks about Dick, and there it goes. The numbers go up.
Anything good? Anything repeatable?
Keep it PG, please.
Aha! See? I'm justified. There it is.
A lot of woes.
See what I'm saying? I'm
That's
telling
pretty
you.
good.
I got this down. National reciprocity. Let's see the hands of the people who think we're going to get national reciprocity in our lifetime. Yeah, hands go down.
Unfortunately, this article actually is not about. Somehow the title and the article are a mismatch. But
I might have put the wrong article in with the title.
All we need is the title. Mitch McConnell has ignored national reciprocity legislation for nearly 1 year. We don't even need an article.
It's funny that you mention that. Now that I look at the article, I must have cut and pasted the wrong article with the title. Whoops. But you notice I didn't say a bad word. Whoops is okay. You can say whoops. I'm pretty sure. I think even on WIND.
I was just going to say, even on WIND, I think you could say whoops.
But the headline, you're right. That's all you need is the headline.
We don't need an article. I mean,
we're now a year into the presidency. That reciprocity came up like immediately.
Well, right.
And McConnell's just been sitting on it.
The House passed it.
Right.
When more than half the House was co-sponsoring
Exactly.
it, so I mean, we knew it was going to pass.
We have to take a break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the article with no title because the title doesn't fit with the article.
Well, we've got a bunch of other articles.
We got other articles that have titles that work.
Fit that. I think we should talk about the Killdozer, though.
We're going to come back and talk about all that and more when we return with more on Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
Do you dread writing? Is it challenging to find just the right words to get your point across? Do you put off developing marketing materials because you just don't know where to start? You get one chance to make a first impression, and my editor, Creative Business Services, can help make it a strong, positive one. Hi, this is Gretchen Fritz, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to tell you about My Editor, a business I started to help you overcome those concerns. What you're experiencing is very common. My Editor has helped business owners, candidates for political office, and even authors and public speakers. At My Editor Creative Business Services, we can simply edit your existing work or help you develop an entire writing plan of action from initial project design through final copy. We are easy to work with and will help you get your point across in the most effective manner. If words escape you, send me an email at myeditor@mail.com. Use My Editor Creative Business Services and go to print with confidence. That's My Editor at mail.com or find us on Facebook.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
The most depressing thing about the Obama administration, Barack Obama was bad enough all by himself, but it is the corrosive environment that he created around him.
Yeah.
And all of this, you talk about just flat out lying, looking into the camera and lying, saying things like, you know, I'm not involved, I never talked to these people, and now it's all coming out.
Yep.
The FBI literally used false information to go to FISA court to get warrantless invasions of wiretapping and stuff like that on people that were part of the presidential, what do you call it, election team, whatever you want to call it, in the general election. Mm-hmm. The Russian prostitute thing, they hyped this whole thing up. This came from a British spy, Christopher Steele. He claimed that this was information he gleaned from them. It turns out it was literally, they know for a fact, funded by the Clinton campaign. They actually funded this stuff. It was unverifiable stuff. It's all a big house of cards. And then this FBI lawyer with her boyfriend, they both that are with the FBI, and they're texting back and forth, and she's talking about 2 months before the election. She writes to this guy she's having an affair with, both with the FBI. She says she's working on a memo for Comey, who was the FBI director at the time, because Obama, quote, wants to know everything we're doing. Remember when he said, looked right in the camera and goes, I have nothing to do with any of this whatsoever? Yeah. I mean, it's just flat out bald-faced lies.
He did an interview on Fox News, and he looked straight into the camera, and he said, I do not talk to the Attorney General about pending investigations. I do not talk to FBI directors about pending investigations. We have a strict line. I guarantee there is no political influence in any investigation conducted by the Justice Department or the FBI. Not just in this case, but in any case. Full stop, period.
Just...
He's pathological.
Bold-faced lying to the American public.
I don't think he's pathological, because I think he knew he was lying.
He certainly does.
I think Hillary might be pathological, but I don't think Obama is.
I actually do, and I've said this before, I actually think that Hillary has a mental illness.
Yeah.
I think she believes it.
I think she really is a pathological liar.
Because the case I always cite, when she got off that plane and she said, we're under sniper fire, there were news people there with cameras rolling. It's clear that it wasn't true.
She had to have known there was video somewhere.
Right, of course.
I mean, if she stopped and actually thought about it, she would have known.
The press corps was there.
Right.
It was all being recorded. So she clearly, after the fact, and if you watch, she said that 2 or 3 times over a period of time.
And it got like worse and worse.
Exactly. It got to the point where we ran under fire. You know, she listened to herself, and it would percolate, and the next time she came back, it was more. Now, she knows full well that there were video crews that were right there. It's a press gallery. So she has to be pathological.
Isn't there some sort of a psychological principle of that if you are told something enough times, or I think you can even tell yourself something enough times that you'll actually like...
Sure, it's called liberalism.
But you'll actually fabricate like a story in your head to back it up.
With kidnapped victims, the Stockholm syndrome, where over a given period of time, suddenly they start identifying with their captors, and they, just like Patty Hearst did, they become one of them.
Right.
And, you know, what do you say about those people? Can you blame them? I mean, it's a psychological problem that they have. But, you know, this woman, to this day, she's still blaming other people for losing the election. To this day, she has not just said, you know what, I really suck.
Yeah. One of these articles, I don't remember which one it is, but, you know, they pointed out that, you know, there are people who are still saying she's such a great candidate, you know, that she's the perfect candidate, but yet she lost twice to 2 completely inexperienced people.
Exactly. there's a message hidden in there someplace.
It's not really hidden.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Yeah, well, it's not that.
No,
it's not that.
it's
really.
actually more like a neon sign.
And then we know for a fact, because other people have come forward and fessed up. What's her name? Donna Brazil, for one.
Yeah.
They rigged the whole thing against Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, they just rigged it. It was just flat out. He wasn't ever going to get nominated. I mean, and what? She's still walking around.
Yeah.
At what point do they lock these people up? Well, one point is when you take a bulldozer and when you object to municipal government so much that you actually bulldoze downtown. That's pretty heavy. That's pretty heavy. Was that a good segue?
That guy's the guy spent 7 months fortifying that the bulldozer.
The bulldozer, yeah, it was like a tank.
Yeah.
And in the end, he shoots himself.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't kill anybody. He came close to it, but he did. What does it say? How many millions of dollars?
Like 7 million.
Like $7 million. This is a small town.
It's a very small town.
Yeah, I mean, wiped out half the town. But interestingly, it was very, very, very carefully planned, because it turns out all the businesses he offed were people around the council, people who he had a beef
Oh,
with.
yeah, no, it was...
So he'd go down, well, what's this address? Oh, that's one. Turned in a...
Right.
Yeah.
So this happened back in 2004, but we wanted to talk about it because back to the gun control argument, liberals are always saying, well, if we just got rid of all the guns, then we wouldn't have so much violence.
I have a bulldozer.
But yeah, as I said in my email to you, our argument is, if people want to be violent, they will find some other method. They will use a machete, they will use a pocket knife, they will use a rented truck, or possibly an armor-plated bulldozer.
Cain and Abel used a rock.
As in this case, right, exactly. So this guy had like an ongoing problem with this small-town government. It was like over a sewer hookup or something.
Yeah, he started a business.
Originally, and he spent 7 months steel plating and concrete reinforcing a bulldozer, and then like mounting guns on it. It says it was bristling with guns. And then one day he drove it through 13 structures in the Colorado mountain town of Granby, leveling City Hall, the electric company, and the local newspaper.
It's not funny, but
it's not.
But more and more, people are just getting fed up with stuff government does.
Yeah.
Because what ends up usually happening is you get a few elected people, and in some cases they aren't even elected. They don't even have the scrutiny of the electorate. And they make decisions because it doesn't hurt them. Mm-hmm. And the one thing, I was saying while we're on the break, it's something that I've said for a long time out at the club. I've been criticized because, well, you let people just ran on and on. But here this guy says this very thing in here. He's talking about like town councils making decisions on property and stuff like that. And he goes, these are very personal decisions you're making about people's property, and they're sensitive. And he goes, scrupulous fairness, looking people in the eye and giving them their day, even the angry people. You need to let them vent and speak their piece, but you also need to be the keeper of civility in the process. And I've always said that. If somebody's got something to say, I just let him say it. And I've had people go, we ought to cut them off, Robert's Rules of Orders. I don't give a crap about Robert's Rules of Orders. If you got a beef, you ought to be able to get up at a meeting and you ought to be able to air your opinion. And which means I can come home and pull in my garage and not worry about being shot from behind. Because people, when they get PO'd, it doesn't go away if you shut them up. It just gets worse. It gets bigger. So it was interesting to read that. I'm not the only person on the face of the earth that thinks that.
Well, the other thing is there were subtle hints that were missed, like the guy telling at least 4 people around town that he was just going to bulldoze the town.
See, that's a very hidden message.
Again, it was subtle.
What's the metaphor? What does he mean by that?
There were some subtle hints like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy who had been the mayor wrote a book called Killdozer, which I think is a pretty properly yclept name.
Oh, I thought he was a journalist in the town.
That's what I'm saying. I thought he was a mayor.
No, former Granby Sky High news editor and publisher.
But doesn't it say he was also a mayor of something?
No.
Oh, I thought it did. That was a different guy. Anyway.
No.
But he wrote a book called The Killdozer, which I thought was good.
Yeah. So yeah, the guy did shoot at police, and he shot at a propane tank.
But he actually didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah,
he just did.
He leveled
an outhouse full.
Yeah, he leveled some buildings, but that had people in them, and the people got out just in the nick of time. So, fortunately, he did not actually kill anyone other than himself. But
he was a man on a mission, though.
Yeah, definitely. But suffice it to say, if someone has evil in their heart and they want to do violence, they will find a way.
And that's it. You can't. The problem with this is you can't figure out who's going to commit a crime until they do it. You don't know.
Well, and the article says, even if they were onto him, even if they had any idea what he, planning it, there was nothing against the law. There's no law against armor plating a bulldozer.
No. Bob, why are you putting armor plating on a bulldozer?
It's crazy, but it's not technically illegal.
There's coyotes in the area, and I'm protecting myself. Bob, coyotes have automatic weapons, do they?
Right. But yeah, I mean, I do think that, they probably could have had him in for psychological evaluation, possibly.
It's not. Here at the 150 Union meeting, how many of you guys have heavy equipment with armor? How many could, just show your hands here. Yeah. Todd might. You never know. Todd might have.
Todd probably does. He has a lot of vehicles.
Yeah. I'll go out and look at our bulldozer. It'll probably be armored up. But there's a message.
Gun turret mounted on your bulldozer.
That would be in the excavator because.
When did that get there?
Yeah. There are times that I've sort of wanted to have that out there, but you never know. The whole it more than bothers me about the FBI and the NSA and all these supposed sterile, above everybody else, maintain law and order. These are the people you turn to when chaos breaks out.
Well, yeah, I mean, you hope that, okay, so FBI is law enforcement. It's the federal law enforcement. I mean, I wouldn't say, I guess it is top, but it's
FBI,
interstate.
It's Attorney General, the highest elected.
Right. It's what deals with interstate crime. And you want to feel like you can trust them. You want to, I mean, any law enforcement agency, you want to feel like you can trust them. And they violated their own rules.
And I'm telling you, the Obama administration was just had a terrible effect on government, big government. Not only did they make government bigger, they made it meaner. And all the while, they're talking about how much good they're doing for you.
We're the most transparent administration in history.
Yeah, which is sort of true, because you did see through them.
Well, eventually, they ended up to not be very good at covering their tracks, because we're finding out, everything. But I mean, for the first, 3 or 5 years, I mean, wouldn't you guys agree that,
They talked a good line.
Right. Every conspiracy theory that people will come up with, you'd be like, no, come on, that's just a conspiracy theory. And they all turned out to be true.
I told you, I ran into, I used to love George Carlin, and in his early career, he was an extremely funny man. And then slowly over time, he got very anti-government. And I really got upset with him. That was, I don't know, maybe the 80s, something like that. And I just stopped listening to him. He goes, he's a crank, he's crazy. And I came across something probably a month or two ago that he had done back then that I remember him doing, thinking, this guy's off the deep end. And everything he said came true. Yep. That was scary. All the, the government owns you, big business owns the government. All the stuff he complained about actually has happened. That's scary stuff. When we come back, we'll talk about more scary stuff. What are we going to talk about next?
Well, we have more on the FBI.
We got more on the FBI. We're going to nail the FBI tonight. What's that black car with it? Anyway, we'll be back with more black car in the driveway after these messages with more on Target Radio. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to offer you a partnership opportunity. For over 4 years, On Target Radio covered the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech on AM 560 The Answer. But a 1-minute commercial was $200, making it tough to find enough sponsors. So last November, we left AM 560 and began podcasting. There's a learning curve to podcasting, and we've worked through the kinks and would now like to make you an offer. You can have a 60-second audio or video commercial for as little as $25 a week. We can also offer fellow conservatives their own radio or video podcast for as little as $100 a week with equipment and technical personnel included. You provide the content and host, plus get 6 free minutes of commercial time you can sell yourself. If you'd like to be an On Target Radio sponsor or explore the possibility of having your own show, call me at 815-741-3474 and let's explore the possibilities together.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
This segment is brought to you by the Whale County Grassroots Division of the Illinois State Rifle Association. Join like-minded friends supporting the right to keep and bear arms in Illinois at 7 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois. This month's guest speaker is Will County Treasurer Steve Weber, who is up for re-election and will also be talking about his new archery business in New Lenox. Come and hear Steve talk about Top Shot Archery on February 21st at 7 p.m. at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois.
You know, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act came after 9/11. And, you know, I like W. I always did like him. I always thought it'd be cool to have lunch with W, you know, because he's just like, he's a guy. You know, he's cool. He's chilled out. He's had his share of problems, and he overcame them. He gave up alcohol, you know.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this would be a cool guy. But he did some stuff that was pretty boneheaded. It was stupid stuff. And he's, and I don't really think it was stupid. I think he just has sort of a different vision for where things should be, and it's not unlike a lot of liberals. He was conservative in certain areas and not in others. But the FISA thing, you know, they said, well, here, look, there's all this information passing around. If we could just capture it, we'd know what prospective terrorists are doing. And remember, it started, it's only people making overseas calls. It's only people making calls like to the Middle East.
Right, we're only surveilling foreigners.
Exactly. That's how it all started.
Not Americans, right?
Right. And the objection from the Congress was, well, now wait a minute, you know, we're still spying on American citizens. Well, it's a special case. Well, okay, then you got to make the special, but we can't be public. Okay, so they got this FISA court, and the deal was you had to go in there and you had to show how this individual was a person of interest that you really could benefit or potentially benefit from listening in on the conversations. Well, it turned out it just dissolved. It turned to crap. I mean, now they're faking. The FBI is lying to get a warrant to listen in on Trump's election team. What does that have to do with Americans calling foreign nationals and terrorism?
Right, and they found spyware on computers in Trump Tower.
Do you remember when?
So they weren't only listening; they were grabbing stuff off the computer
They were pulling stuff off the computer. Do you remember the day that everybody left Trump Tower?
I don't, but you brought that up last week.
Yeah, I distinctly remember it. The news covered it because the news was thinking, we got him up to something, right? You know, they're leaving, there's something going on. There was. Obama was bugging him. And Trump came out and he said, the President of the United States is bugging me. And the media goes into a frenzy. Oh, this is, you know.
Ravings of a lunatic.
That's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Somebody from the administration went to Trump and dropped a dime on Obama and said, you're being bugged. And they vacated the building. They just completely moved to a new place and set it up like Fort Knox so you couldn't bug it. This is the President of the United States. This is like Richard Nixon, except on steroids.
Only 1,000,000 times worse.
Right, on steroids. You know, Nixon didn't, I don't think he did, say, go bust into Ellsworth's office and pull the files. That was his people came up with a brilliant idea. He covered it up. There's no question that he, you know, aided in the cover-up. But this is like, that's like small potatoes compared to this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Lying to a federal court?
So this says the FBI violated strict rules. Well, this says may have violated strict rules. I think Constitution.com is being too generous.
Yeah, they're covering their butt.
It's called the Woods Procedures that forbid it from presenting even a single unverified fact to the FISA court, let alone a lengthy dossier full of them, which is what they did. And so the guy, Christopher Steele, who put together the dossier for them, they used that to support their petition to the court. In Great Britain, Steele is defending a libel claim made by a Russian businessman.
Well, then there's that.
So, yeah.
There's that.
I do like what he says, though. He says, what we essentially have is the Hillary Clinton campaign sent fake accusations against Trump to a researcher who then sent that fake info to the FBI, which itself turned around and took that fake info to Obama's national security officials as proof to justify spying on Trump.
It's a nice, neat little circle, though. You know, it kind of starts here, goes all the way around through a bunch of people, and ends back up there.
And you can't tell me those people didn't know that that somewhere along the line they were using made up crap.
Listen, the President of the United States, at his worst, the worst president in history of the United States, the President of the United States is the most powerful human being on the planet. Mm-hmm. He has information sources. Look, the CIA has finally admitted, after being outed, that they are trapping every telephone conversation and every email. Mm-hmm. They've admitted it. Now, and then they go, justification, we're not listening to them. We're just
capturing them.
We're capturing them, yeah. And there's an algorithm, which, of course, they don't talk about. And the algorithm looks for certain things like, I don't know, bomb, nuclear, I don't know,
fertilizer,
Ebola, whatever, right? And so, and if those words, if certain phrases or words come up, beep, and they go and they listen to you, and you go, went to this play last night. It was a bomb, although parts of it were really fertilizer, man. And they're, you know what I'm saying? And it's that's Second City. It just comes right out. You don't even have to think about it. But
amazing.
But literally, these people lied all the way around. That entire circle, starting at the top, paid by Hillary Clinton and her campaign, and for her, which she has not, to my knowledge, said, but for her to say, I didn't know anything about it, that would be pure crap. It's her money, it's her campaign, of course she knows about it. And particularly somebody like Hillary Clinton, no one is going to do something without her.
Right, she's a total control freak.
Absolutely. And it turns out so was Obama, because he wanted to know everything. Mm-hmm. He just was plugged into, they found his fingerprints on an email. I swear. Oh, yeah, it's buried in here someplace. I don't know where it is, but they have a memo, a very, very, guilty memo. His fingerprints are on it. They lifted his fingerprints off of it. He goes, I don't ever saw that. Really? Your fingerprints are on it.
Well, how did this get here?
I don't know how he survived 8 years. And what scares me more than anything is not that he got elected, it's that he got reelected.
Oh.
At some point, people should have
started.
said, I think 4 is good.
Enough is enough.
Yeah, we'll live with the 4.
Larry sent us a meme that says the Trump 45 because the 44 didn't work for the last 8 years.
Yeah. And the other thing is,
the problem is that he did work. This is what he was doing. He was working in the shadows, doing.
He was very good at what he did.
Doing all this stuff. Yeah, Fast and Furious, Benghazi, all this, Operation Choke Point. Oh my gosh!
And it all connects.
Yeah.
When we covered all that stuff on the radio show, we talk about, look at what they did, the run of guns, stuff like that, and we looked at it as an incident.
Separate,
right.
Yeah.
They did this. But Bob did this. It turns out all this stuff is connected together. Yes. It all goes back to the presidency.
So Representative Paul Gosar from Arizona was talking to Breitbart last week, and he basically said that. He said, if you don't think Operation Fast and Furious, along with Operation Choke Point, and then if you don't think Benghazi and the lack of accountability when they knew something was going to come, if you don't think that the IRS and the attacking of your adversaries financially and the unmasking are unrelated things, think again. This is a representative. He's on the House Committee for Oversight and Government Reform.
Anybody that suggests, as Obama himself did, well, I didn't know about that, is crazy. That man was a control freak. Yeah. He knew everything.
Gosar says that too. He goes, the Obama administration micromanaged everything.
Exactly. What he reminds me of, although he wasn't so destructive, was Lyndon Johnson. Johnson was a control freak. There were days in Vietnam we would go, weren't we here like 2 weeks ago? Why did we leave, and why are we back doing this all over again? What idiot is doing this? Well, the idiot was Lyndon Johnson. I bought McNamara. He was Secretary of Defense. I bought McNamara's book. I swallowed hard. I didn't want to give him the money. But in the book, McNamara, who's Secretary of Defense first under Kennedy and then under Johnson, literally says in the book, we'd never been to Vietnam. We didn't know anybody who'd ever been to Vietnam. We didn't know any Vietnamese. We had absolutely no idea whatsoever what we were doing in that country. And I'm like, well, at least they admit it. You know, they were totally screwed up people. This is very much like that. Lyndon Johnson was a tremendous, he would go down at night into, they got a bunker in the White House, the war room, right? Where they put him if they can't get him out of the building in time for something.
Sure.
And it's the war room. I mean, they got the big board and all that stuff. They make fun of this in Dr. Strangelove, but it's true. They really exist. And he would micromanage the war in Vietnam from that bunker in the middle of the night. He'd say, well, you know, move this troop over there. He'd never been in the military. He didn't know squat.
Yeah.
Obama makes him like a piker. I mean, at least Johnson wasn't, as far as we know, manipulating every facet of the federal government. I don't know. Obama is scary. And Hillary, you know, I told you, I can't remember if we should copy that or not. They had a 12-year plan.
No.
Did I tell you this?
Oh, no, actually, I have heard something about that.
There's a 12-year plan, 8 years of Obama, and then assuming that Hillary was going to get elected, which literally was going to disarm private citizens and move towards a federal or a global government. That was the plan.
Yeah, and they were going to bring in UN troops for police and all that BS.
And you know that started. They're talking in Chicago about bringing in.
Yeah, they're
UN
talking
troops.
about it. I don't know.
10 years ago, would any state, would any municipal government, would any state government say it's bringing UN troops to regulate the place?
You wouldn't think so.
No, of course not. As much as I didn't like the dailies, you were never going to hear that.
Well, true.
You're never going to hear that.
Yeah, no. Richard Daley wouldn't let any outsiders into his city. He'd be like, F that.
And who's doing the talking? The guy who was Obama's buddy, Rahm Emanuel.
Rahm Emanuel.
You know, there's a cabal here.
Mr. Never let a crisis go to waste.
Exactly. And especially if you have to create it, so you have one.
Right.
These people are psychos. I mean, they truly are. And they're funded by Soros and Bloomberg. And
I saw a subject line on an email today that Soros has people who are bragging about how they toppled sovereign governments.
Oh, absolutely. Thailand, for one. They've gone into countries and destroyed the currency and then basically done regime changes and made a profit. They hedge against it.
Right.
They don't just hang them. We're going to be back with more cheery news about what's going on in the world and what you can expect in your short future before you're hung somewhere. All that and more when we return with more
on Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
In need of a ride to O'Hare or Midway Airport? Well, look no further. The Yellow Checker Cab Company is the cab company for you. With the Yellow Checker Cab Company, you will always be greeted by a friendly face and arrive safely and on time for your flight. Start your trip off right by taking advantage of one of their limos, shuttle vans, cabs, or courtesy cars. And airport trips are not all they specialize in. This 24-hour cab service will pick you up anytime, any day, for any occasion. From bachelorette parties to school dances to just a night out with friends. Yellow Checker Cab Company has the best rates in town. So sit back, relax, and leave the driving to the professionals. Once you experience their fast and affordable cab service, you'll be a customer for life. When it comes to cab companies, be sure to choose Yellow Checker Cab because you have the right to expect certain things from your cab company. For further information or to book your trip today, call 815-744-2900. That's 815-744-2900.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life. Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
Attention all Will County patriots, especially those who live in the Hummer Glen, Lockport, and Orland Park areas. Save the date for the next fundraiser for Steve Ballage for Will County Board. Join Gretchen and David Monday, March 12th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Ruby Agave Latin Restaurant in Hummer Glen to support Steve's re-election. Your $35 donation gets you great food and draft beer. House Minority Leader Jim Durkin and State Representative Margo McDermott, along with Lori McPhillips and most of the Will County Board Republican Caucus, will be there to meet you and to take your questions. The following Safer USA classes are at our facility in Waterman. Saturday and Sunday, February 17th and 18th, NRA Pistol Instructor, taught by David. Saturday and Sunday, March 3rd and 4th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry, as well as Florida and Arizona. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on register.
Yeah. So we were talking, well, I'm just, I mean, at some point you go, are we beating this to death? But no. No, we're not. It's fun to be able to take shots. Let me rephrase shots, because who knows? The NSA is listening.
Yeah.
It's fun to take liberties with the way we describe the prior president of the United States. See, I didn't say take shots at the liberties. When we know now that they're true, provable, the documents have come out. It's like, what's his name, Julian Assange and these people, they, when they were saying stuff, they were going, these people are enemies of the state. No. Well, yeah, they were enemies of that state because they were releasing stuff that was really negative towards the incumbent president. The truth is that those guys are like heroes, really, because they're just throwing the stuff out. They're just taking a shovel full of it and throwing it out in the public and see what happens.
I actually wanted to watch Snowden the other day, get it snowed in.
Yeah, I did. I got it.
But I didn't have time. I got busy.
You were shoveling snow.
I was shoveling snow.
I went out this morning. We had a class this morning, and me, I like to get there early. So I started at 8. Set the alarm for 5:30. Figured alarm goes off at 5:30. Get up, do the coffee. Get ready. I'll get out of the house by 6:15. So I get up, get downstairs, start the coffee and stuff, and I go, I wonder if it snowed at all. And
See, you don't watch the forecast like I do.
No,
I look at the forecast like at least twice a day.
Yeah, no, I don't have to. I look out the window.
Or I text you.
Or you text me. The snow plow had come down the street. I had literally a 3-foot hill of snow
at
the end of my driveway.
I thought mine was bad. I had like a foot.
Well, did you look coming in here? There's like a wall of snow, right?
I saw that.
And so it's 6:15 when I look out. I'm getting ready to leave, and I went out to warm the car, right? Started up with a little gizmo you turned me on to. And then I was going to go back upstairs, put on my clothes, and go. And I opened the door, and I opened the garage door, and I'm holding the thing, waiting for the little blue lights, and I look over and I go, I'm just like, what is is this?
Yeah.
I just plowed this last night.
Yeah.
And it's just, there were drifts over my knees. I mean,
so we
was
got a good
insane.
5 inches, but yeah, at the end of the driveway, it was almost a foot.
Yeah.
And
I had a good 3
no
feet.
way I would have been able to get my little car out of there. I had to shovel for like 40 minutes. I had
See,
to
you
clean
don't
off
have a
my car
snowblower, do you?
and shovel for like 40 minutes. I do not.
You need a snowblower. Because I
do
actually,
not.
well,
I'm not good with mechanical things, if you haven't
you
figured that
plug
out
it in,
yet.
you press the button, it goes, woo, 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 woo. That's pretty close.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, I have 6 speeds
If I
forward.
lived in a cartoon, that would be fantastic.
What? That is a cartoon. Are you kidding me? I looked out there. It's like insanity.
Well, it kind of is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is kind of like alternative universe.
3 days in a row now, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And here's the problem. Both of my neighbors are in Florida. So Shirley sends me, next door, she sends me an email and she goes, would you just check to make sure that they did turn the water off? She had the water turned off for, while they're down there.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. So I go over and you got to plow to get there, right? And I plow, I do their driveway and their walk, and then my other neighbor's driveway and walk, because I don't want it to look like they're not home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I spend an hour and a half most of the time plowing other people's stuff. So I go over there and I check, the water's turned off. I come back, I email her, and she goes, oh, great, thank you, I feel much better now. By the way, it's 85 down here. It's like, I'm going to go turn the water on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's got nothing to do with Clinton and paying for this thing, but a little levity goes a long way. I know we definitely want to talk. You want to just skip right down to your favorite one?
Yeah.
Because make sure we want to get that in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I came across this headline and I thought that it was interesting. This guy, the White House evangelical pastor, his name is Paul Begley, and he was doing an interview with Sheila Zielinski of Weekend Vigilante, whatever that is. And I think it's a step below On Target Radio, to be honest with you. But he says that, and he should have firsthand knowledge of this since he is the White House pastor, he claims that First Lady Melania Trump demanded that the White House be spiritually cleansed before she would sleep there. He says that Melania also requested that all pagan, demonic items and artifacts from the Obama and Clinton years be removed. So I thought that was very interesting. She is Catholic.
Yep.
And I think that, certain parts of Europe have maybe, or maybe practice a more mystical version of Catholicism. And I don't have a problem with that. There are some, I used to work for Catholics, and there are some Catholics who just want to completely ignore the mystical part of religion. But the whole point of God is that we don't fully understand.
It is mystical.
That's right. I mean, that's kind of the whole point. But he goes on to say that apparently the Clintons were very fascinated with Haiti and voodoo. And they...
There's another brilliant insight.
Yeah, whoever cleaned out the White House, they removed all religious artifacts from former administrations except for one cross on one wall. And they have established prayer meetings in the White House for prayer and devotions.
See, you're never going to hear that in the news.
No, I mean, not mainstream.
Yeah.
This was from Doug Giles, ClashAmerica.com.
It's Catholicism is interesting. We bless things.
Yes.
And then we give the priest a donation. But they will bless, really, anything. You can, your house, that's very common.
Very common.
Blessing a house
Actually,
is very common.
there are Protestants who do that as well.
Yeah, that's a very common thing.
Mm-hmm.
They will also bless a new car. They will bless a pet.
Mm-hmm.
They will bless a boat.
They will bless your motorcycle.
They'll bless my motorcycle. Yeah. And there are times that, in the first motorcycle, I named my motorcycles, right? And the first, my first motorcycle was that Harley 1200 cc, and I called it, what's his name? In Psycho, Norman. I called it Norman. And somebody said, why'd you call him Norman? It's because I named it for Norman Bates in Psycho. Because inexplicably, for some reason, periodically, it would just try to kill me. I mean, that's how I got the name Norman, yeah. They will, and you do then give them a donation to do that. So you begin to see why I sort of drifted away from the Catholic Church. I'll tell you the thing that got me, really, seriously, and I don't know how old I was. I was probably 10, 11. I was probably 5th or 6th grade. There was an old holdover from World War II. In World War II, one day a week you didn't eat meat, Friday. And that was the country did that. And the purpose was to conserve on consumption to send it to the troops. Right? So because there's a finite amount of food.
Rationing.
Right. Exactly. So, and they did that all through World War II, and it was a pretty successful program. Well, Catholic made it a religious thing.
They had to make it spiritual.
Exactly. And so, I don't know, this is, if I was 10, it was 57, you know. We couldn't eat meat on Friday, so you ate like fish or whatever. But they had a bishop's relief fund, helping people in other countries, that kind of stuff. And whatever parish in the diocese, Chicago Diocese, whatever parish donated the most amount of money in a given year to the Bishop's Relief Fund got to eat meat on Friday. Now, at 10 years old, I'm going, sister, I thought it was a mortal sin to eat meat on Friday. Oh, yeah. I go, well, how come St. Giles gets to eat meat next Friday? Oh, they got a special dispensation from the bishop. Oh, well, how do you get the special dispensation? They raise the most amount of money. So you can pay to eat meat on Friday. Is that how this works? The nuns didn't find that. They didn't see the humor in that.
Last year, I got a ticket. I got invited to go to Dan Carlin's. He has a St. Patrick's Day it's not St. Patrick's Day, but he has a St. Patrick's theme fundraiser
yes.
every year in March. So last year, well, maybe it's always on a Friday. I don't know, but it was on a Friday, and it was during Lent. And so they have a priest come in and give everybody in the room special dispensation to be able to eat because it's corned beef and cabbage. That's all there is. Yes. I mean, there isn't anything else. So
well, we can work out a dispensation for everybody here. In the back of the room, we've got a little box if you'd like to contribute a little bit for the. Yeah,
But as a Protestant, I just sit there and laugh. You know, I just roll my eyes and laugh.
You know, dispensations go back to like the Middle Ages. You could buy if you sin
indulgences.
You could buy indulgences, right? And they go, you know, I killed 400 whatever. You know, well, if it'd be a 300 shekels.
Pay the treasurer. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, And, you know, 10-year-old kids don't get the nuance of that. They just don't understand. You can't eat meat on Friday, but they're eating meat on Friday. How do they do that? Well, they paid for it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. I just... the biggest problem with the Catholic Church is they went from Latin to English. The Mass in Latin is a beautiful thing. It's lyrical.
And no one knows what they're saying.
Exactly, but it's very lyrical. It sounds good, you know, until they translated it and started doing it in English. Like, that's it?
Oh, I know.
That's the whole thing right there?
Some of the songs in the Catholic hymnal, they don't rhyme. The tessitura is just god-awful.
It's better in Latin. Because you don't know what they're saying.
I think I told you this story, but I'm sure you don't remember it. There was the nun at the convent who was the treasurer, so I called her the money nun. The money nun once said something. I was bringing a group from my church to an event that we were having, and they were going to play music. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so excited to hear your music group. I love the Protestant music."
I will admit, the first time we were covering Shiloh Baptist Fest, you know, the Baptist church, up on the hill, which is all black. And we were doing security for the fest. And I went into that church, Baptist church. I went into that church, and they had like drums and guitars. And I'd never seen that in a church before. This is 20 years ago.
Today, we had drums, electric bass, and electric guitar.
So you don't see that in Catholic Church. Although they do, I know that during the hippie days, they did have guitars and stuff. And they did, you know, they sang Kumbaya or whatever.
Acoustic guitars, yeah.
But when they
we've definitely gone to the next
When they start doing hard rock, my drum set will move in. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're about to come up to the magic moment, aren't we?
Just about.
Pulled another one out of our beep. Considering that I came here with less than 2 hours to the show and put the whole thing together with your help, I think it worked. Yeah, I think it worked. You think it worked?
It was good.
Yeah, anybody say anything on Facebook? Yeah.
No, it's all positive.
They're like, what a boring, slow show today.
Really? Yeah, I don't know. It's anyway, we'd like to thank you, and you too, for taking the time to listen tonight, and we'd like to appreciate it if you would tell your friends about it, Target Radio.
We'd also like to thank our engineer, Eric Allen, and our sponsors, the Will County chapter of the Illinois State Rifle Association, Yellow Checker of Joliet, my editor, Creative Business Services, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
And finally, we hope you'll listen next week. We'll be covering more red meat issues that affect your life. You know, we should probably start advertising.
You think?
Well, you know, what do we got? 2 people? Does your mother still listen?
Oh, yeah.
That's half our office.
Oh, yeah. She got on Facebook like 2 hours before the show started.
Kim, enjoy